welcome to the Yarn Waffle podcast. We are on episode 8. My name is Liz Wood and I'm a crochet designer and knitting hobbyist living in New York in the UK with my 2 cats, one of which is scratching herself behind me as per normal. Today is Wednesday the 6th of November. It is my very belated Halloween special. It's not Halloween anymore. Yeah, I wasn't able to film last week because there are builders renovating the house next door, and they have been renovating that house for about 3 months and decided to make last Wednesday the noisiest day ever. Certainly made moving to this house not as fun as I was hoping it was going to be. 3 months of banging and clashing. No thank you. I'm fingers crossed they might have nearly finished. I think the humans have moved back in that lived there, or new humans, I don't know. I will find out at some point. But I am recording this fairly early on Wednesday morning to avoid the majority of noise if there's going to be any. But yeah, it's a bright, cold, wintry day. And it's back to podcasting. I'm really excited to be back to podcasting actually. I missed it. I did miss it. I've got lots and lots to show you, so I'm just faffing with Cassie. That's what my hand is doing here. There she is. Hey boo. Okay, I am not wearing any knitted garment today. I do have on my beautiful shawl that I finished knitting a few weeks ago, and so I will start with the first finished object, which is another one of these. Cassie's not going to help. Cassie. Right, so quick wardrobe change. I'll show you this one properly first. Whoop. So this is a shawl that originally was based on the Tracy shawl by Hoki Locatelli. I have mentioned this many times on the podcast. I think I followed the pattern, which is pretty much just a straight garter triangle shawl to about here, when I deviated completely, didn't do the colour changes, didn't do the eyelets as she said, didn't do the short rows, and just went my own way because I wanted a shawl. And this is knit in the black elephant yarn in the mudbound colourway, and the creamy colour down the end is it's not Fruitful Fusions, it's Fine Fish Yarns in the neon neutrals. And this is beautiful. Since I finished this shawl, I have worn it pretty much every day. The yarn is so squishy and soft, I absolutely love it, and it just absolutely pops with colour. It looks quite neutral. Sorry, wobbly camera for a moment. Cassie's up there behind you. Yeah, so yeah, I love this shawl, absolutely love it. So I decided to rework it slightly and make it into a pattern that I felt comfortable releasing as my own pattern, even though, like I say, it was this, that, you know, it's, anybody knows how to do a triangular shawl. I feel like, yeah, anyway, you know what I'm on about. So yeah, I reworked it and I have another finished object. Now I went slightly darker on this, but the colour theme is still quite consistent, and this is what it will now be known as the Raven shawl. It is beautiful. So you've got 3 eyelet panels. It is a fully symmetrical triangular shawl. It is a good 2 meters long, and it takes 2 skeins of I've used a single ply fingering weight yarn. There have been a few changes. This one is slightly dark. It's darker than the original that I made. That's because Cassie, right, no. No. Stay there. Sorry, more Cassie wobbles. Yeah, back to it. Yeah, so this is knit in 2 200 gram skeins of fingering weight single ply yarn, and I got both these skeins from the Black Elephant yarns, and I picked them up at Yarndale, and I think it's Petra who is the dyer behind Black Elephant. I had this shawl on, which she saw and she really liked, Yeah, I was just so instantly drawn to the Mudbound colourway again in the single weight, because the colours just seriously pop out of that. I mean, look at that. Isn't that just the most beautiful thing? Oh, it's so pretty. So even though I already have this knit in Mudbound and I have another skein of it here, that's quite nice. That's the Black Elephant yarns. Look, it's just so pretty. I love this yarn so much. I couldn't resist buying it in the single for this. And then the colour that I chose to go with it is the Darrell colourway, and it's a lot darker. It's blacks and purples and greens. If I get you a nice close up there, it's so pretty. And yeah, so what you do is you start off with the darker colourway, and then you start striping, and then you're going to go into eyelets and finally finish with the lighter colour. So it's very similar to the shawl, but I have adapted it slightly so that it uses slightly less yarn, because there is slightly less yardage on a single ply skein, and I wanted to make sure I had plenty left, and indeed I had that much left of the Mudbound colourway. Look at the pretty. And about 20 grams left of the Darrell. So if you don't want to use single ply with it, you'll have plenty on 200 gram skeins. But if you do want to use single, it works, and it works absolutely great. So yeah, so this is going to be a pattern. One of my only knitting pattern releases. So I have a couple of testers already for this, but I am looking for more. If anybody would like to knit a very relaxing knit, I would say. Yeah, I really like knitting these. I'm tempted to knit another one myself just to test the pattern, because I have these two beauties by Fruitful Fusions, which I think would look absolutely beautiful. Nice pale blue. So yeah, all my social media will have at some point, because I forgot to mention it, scrolled along the screen. And if you're interested in testing this pattern or the other pattern that I've got coming up, exciting, just drop me a line. Instagram Messenger's pretty good, or my email, or via my website. So yeah, two beautiful two-skein shawls, and I have to choice every day of whether I'm in a light or a dark mood as to which one I want to wear. And so I will put on the dark Raven shawl, because it is the newest and therefore the most favourite for the rest of the podcast, and I'll crack on with more finished objects. I got another 3. It has been like 2 weeks since I podcasted, so it's not that weird. Okay, right, just chucking that over there. What next? What next? What next? Should we do socks? So, socks. These are this year's West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas sock yarn. And it is, I feel like I'm nearer the frame this time, it is the Robin colourway. There you go, you can get them all in there. And these were knit on 2.25 needles, 64 stitches, pretty much a vanilla sock pattern. I've done 2x2 rib. I don't count how long I do the cuff. I have a little needle gauge thing that sits in my bag with me. I don't think I have it with me just at this moment, and I just knit it as long as that, because it's that length is the same as the foot length, so it's an easy gauge thing to have with me if I'm out and about knitting these on the go, which these have been done. I started knitting the first one of these as 2 at a time socks with the Hollyberry colourway, but as I needed some on the go knitting, these got taken off and I started knitting them, you know, 1 at a time. I've gone for a standard heel flap and gusset with this. When I started doing this podcast, I was all about the short row heel, and I don't know why. I've just started doing heel flap and gussets again. I'm really enjoying them. They fit really nice, and yeah, so more Christmas socks. I didn't bother putting in a contrast heel or toe. I wanted to see how this yarn would work up without that, and you can probably see that we've got a repeat of the pattern here and on this one here, which just is because this has taken up the yarn, so the stripe pattern is interrupted. That does not bother me at all. I find that absolutely fine. I don't need matchy socks. I like a bit of interest, and I just really like them. They're lovely. I think this makes pair number 5 for my Christmas box of socks, and these will be entered into Amy of Stranded's festive sock along if I remember to actually put something on Ravelry, which I'm terrible at doing. Speaking about Ravelry for a second, would anybody be interested in having a Ravelry page for this podcast? It would be an easier way for me to do giveaways. I found the YouTube follower thing quite difficult to find everybody because it only shows me a certain amount of people, so I had to dig back and look at certain things to get everybody entered into that. But we can do it on Instagram, but I know a lot of people don't use Instagram, and I don't know. If you would be interested in a Ravelry group for this podcast, for knit-alongs and giveaways and just general chatter, let me know and I can set that up. Okay, so yeah, Christmas socks. Happy, happy, happy. Finished object number 3. Oh, good girl, Cassie. What's up, darling? You can just see a bum now. That's good, isn't it? Okay. So I think I showed this pattern on a podcast a few weeks ago. Is the light doing something weird? It's fine, we'll work with it. This is the driftwood pattern, and we'll just remove the cat. Sit down, Cassie. This is a driftwood pattern by BristolIvy.com, and I picked this up 2 years ago at Spring Into Wool. She's going behind the camera. When I saw this pattern, it was knitted in the palest butter yellow, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I thought it was just like way beyond my skills. It's got these wrapped stitches, and I genuinely thought that you just knit it and then did that when it was finished. Just went round and sewed them in, because that's how I would do it. I had no idea that that was a thing you could do while you were knitting. I never had the right yarn for this. I never, I don't know, I was a bit intimidated by it as a pattern because I didn't know how it was formed, and I'd looked at it and just gone a bit like, oh, not for me right now. But yeah, it was always on my mind that I wanted to knit it, and I tried to cast it on in a previous podcast, and I tried doing a tubular cast on to be fancy and failed spectacularly. But in that failure I saw how pretty the tubular cast on was, and so I asked a friend to cast me this hat on. I will learn to do this cast on at some point, but at that point it does not have to be today. And yeah, it's done. It's done. This is knit in some yarn I picked up on a D-stash. I showed it on a previous podcast. It's by Alice Yarn, and isn't it pretty? Can you see how the cables run down to this side bit? Yeah, and these stitches are wrapped as you go along. It's, yeah, I'm sure all the knitters out there are just giggling at me going, how could you be so silly? But look at that, look at that. When we get that focused on there. Oh, isn't that pretty? So yeah, I shall put this on. I really like this hat. I'm just not 100% sure the colour's right for me. What do you think? I love that detail coming down because Cassie's gone right back to the behind the camera. Sorry, it's just on the sewing machine. So yeah, it's good. It doesn't have a lot of slouch. You could probably knit it a bit longer if you wanted it to have more. Not sure it goes with this. Mind you, if I did knit this, you're toppling over because there's a cat behind the camera. Because of course there's a cat behind the camera. Because this is my podcast and there's always a cat behind the camera. Yeah, if I made another shawl in this would go really nicely with this hat. Maybe. Tempted to cast that on. definitely. Yeah, so this is the driftwood hat. It has another name in Icelandic which I'm not going to try and pronounce. I really love it. I just love this. I'm a bit of a sucker for things that come from the hem, if you know what I mean. Like when you extend cables up, or if your cable is a 3x2 and you incorporate that into the hem, so it's seamless and beautiful. And it's a nice fit, and I do like it. I do. It might end up being a gift knit, which is why I haven't done much wearing of it, because I'm just not 100% sure. But it's so pretty. I really want to knit it again, but I don't know if I can persuade my friend to cast me on again. I'm probably going to have to learn, aren't I? Okay, well, we'll just let Cassie come back over to this side. And I'll do the final finished object. And I have finished another pair of gloves. Look at that! 2 of them. And these are knit for a friend of mine at work, at Dutton's, the traditional haberdashery where I work 2 days a week. And yeah. And they are knit out of some DK weight yarn that I dyed myself. I've talked again about this before. It's just the mop bucket yarns that use up all the little bits of colourway that are left over from when I've been dyeing. I am not currently dyeing yarn at the moment. I don't have a setup for it in my new house, but it may be something that happens at some point. Yeah, so Christine that I work with, these are for you. With this pair, when I was actually making it, I made one of the fingers a little bit too tight. Sorry, I just had a coughing fit, which is why I'm a bit woo. Which one was it? I actually can't tell which one it was that I had the incident with, which is probably quite a good thing. But let's say it was this one. Yeah, so you knit up the body of the glove, increasing for the thumb. Those stitches then go on to hold. You then knit the little finger. Little finger. And then you knit more on the body of the glove. I'm showing at the back. So you knit a few rows here, and then you knit all these individual fingers. There's a bit of juggling with cables or DPNs, whatever you choose to use at that point, because you've got stitches on hold and stitches that you are working on. But I tend to find with that, just concentrate on the stitches I'm working on and forget the rest. All will be well. But what actually happened was, I'll put these on, I knit this finger a little bit too tightly. So it was actually knit to the same dimensions as the little finger and didn't fit. So I had to cut it off, take it back, rip it down and re-knit it. But what I did was I ripped down too far, so I had to take all 3 of these fingers off and knit them again. Not what I wanted at that precise moment, but it was one of those things of, I've done it, just get it done, knit them again. And it's really not a hardship. They're actually quite fun because it's such a quick thing to finish, and gloves take half the time of knitting socks. And I actually think as a knitted gift they're a really useful present because they're so warm. They're so warm. You can make them to fit properly, and I don't know if you're like me, but I struggle to get gloves to fit properly. You can make them fingerless if you want, for people who need to have their fingers on their phones all the time. You just make these shorter. I have been very clever, in my own opinion, and kitchenered the ends this time. So yeah, kitchenered ends of fingers. I had to learn that so I could do that. But yeah, I'm very pleased with them. I'm hoping that this will come in at least 3 sizes. I might be doing more. I'm about to just cast on a children's one for Chris's granddaughter. She has a hat I got her last year and she wants some gloves to go with it, and luckily I have some yarn left over. So that is going to happen. So yes, who would like to knit some gloves? Who would like to test knit some gloves for me? I'll be casting on another pair of these, and if you would like to try some, a lot easier than you think. You don't even have to do twisted rib. You don't even have to do rib. You could just have a nice long rolled cuff. That'd be quite cute. I might try that on the next one. How about on the next pair I do like a rolled cuff and fingerless gloves, and we'll add that into the pattern as make it more of like a recipe rather than a pattern. That would be cute. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 finished objects. Technically 6 because these are 2 objects each. That's not bad. That makes me happy. Okay, so we are on to works in progress, and I actually don't have much in the way of works in progress. You're going to laugh at me in a minute because I just realised what I said and then I was like, oh, I've got half a sweater. Cassie, sit down. Yeah, because I've been, my process with knitting this week has been pretty much I'm working on this object until it's finished, and that's why I have quite a few finished objects. And I've also really just enjoyed my knitting process this week because there's a great sense of accomplishment when, you know, you're working start to finish. Like this hat, it was cast on, I knit on nothing else until it was finished, and it's really nice, and plus it was such a fun hat to knit on. Oh good, Cassie's going down. So I do have 2 works in progress. There are socks, but they're nothing much to write home about. I'll do a quick flash just because that's what we're here for. These ones are a sample of some yarn we stock at Dutton's at work, which is the Crazy Zalba ball. Yeah, not exciting, just a cuff and a thingy. And my Quality Street stripy Christmas socks. I've got that far on the second sock. Cast it on for travel knitting, didn't need it, hasn't been touched really. So that's it for sock knitting this week. But I do have 1 new cast on, which I'll talk about next. So, I've knit a few sweaters. I haven't actually even worn all the sweaters that I've knit on the podcast. And I've only been knitting sweaters for about a year, just over a year. And I think I've knit about 8 sweaters in that time. But I don't wear a lot of them. Some of them are ones that are really nice to wear to yarn shows, to sort of show off my knitting skills, so to speak. But for hanging around the house or for going to Dutton's where they might get dusty and ruined, I'm not gonna really wear my hand knit. I do wear them if I'm going out somewhere nice, if I'm going, you know, for a day out, somewhere like that. But really what I wanted was a hand knit jumper that was practical, that I would wear a lot, and yeah, not be too precious about. So I've been thinking about knitting another boxy just in a plain colour. I've also been looking at the no frills sweater, and but I watched a podcast called the We So and So podcast with Cass. Cass is in Scotland, and she had knit a easy one by Hokey Locatelli, and I thought, easy one sounds good, and it was really nice. And sorry, Cass has come onto my knee, that's why hands are faffing about as per usual. Yeah, it was really nice, but when I searched Ravelry for the easy one, nothing came up, and I actually had to go onto Hokey's site on Ravelry and scroll through, because even when I looked under the sweaters tab it didn't come up. And I think it's on about the 2nd or 3rd page of her just general patterns, and she's got an easy one and a bulky one, and they are drop sleeve sweaters, very similar to the boxy in style, quite boxy in style, but just not as much ease. They are oversized sweaters, but hey ho. So I don't want to move Cassie because she's being good, but I have to get my project bag out. This is my sweater project bag that I made for myself when me and my friend were making ours bags together. I made one for me and one for hers. Hers is different. It's got different things on. That sentence didn't go anywhere. Yeah. So I am knitting the easy one by Hokey Locatelli, and I am knitting it out of Drops Nord, which is an alpaca wool acrylic blend, and it is cheap as chips and was on sale when I bought it. So each 50g ball was less than £2. And I think I'll probably need 6 or 7 balls. So less than 20 quid for the 4-ply weight for this yarn. And I know it's drops, people have feelings about drops, but you know, my budget only goes so far with certain things, so I'm going to buy drops, especially when it's on sale, because it is good quality yarn. I mean, it's real wool, and that's really important to me. But also I wanted to hold mohair with the 4-ply, which doesn't really work with the bulky one because it is just a fingering weight one, fingering weight pattern. So this is where I disappear behind a sea of black, because black sweaters are not podcast friendly. But yeah, I just wanted something cozy for me. So I am holding Drops Kid Silk mohair together with the Nord, and we have the start of a big black floofy sweater. So I'm about just mid-boob, and I am knitting a combination between the medium and the large size, just because I thought it would get bigger with it being technically a DK weight. Ooh, very bright then. I'll pop it down. Yeah, I thought it would get bigger with it technically being around a DK weight with holding the two together, but actually using the recommended needles, I pretty much got gauge. So yeah, I was a bit like, well, I'll do a medium because it's going to get bigger, but then I realised it's not superwash wool, so it's not massively going to grow. So when I got to doing the armholes, I was like, I think I need to do them for a large size just in case. Because I was like doing this, and I was like thinking, no way my arm's going to fit in here. And of course it's not going to fit in there, it's going to fit here because it's a drop shoulder. Such a fool. It's all a learning process. We will get there in the end. So yeah, so I've done the arm shape, the armholes. There's no arm shaping. There's no short rows. Such an easy pattern. It is named the easy one for a reason, I feel. There is a bit of back and forth and a bit of purling to start with, and you are a bit sort of like, but yeah, very easy. Without running the risk of blowing the camera out again, I will just show you. We can. It's not going to show very well. I knew when I cast this on that it wasn't going to be very podcasty friendly, and mainly for me it was just a case of, I want a black sweater, let's see how fast I can knit it. But yeah, it does have exposed seams on the shoulders where you pick up the stitches front and back. I do have my little lovely sheep, my beaded sheep from Corner of Craft. He keeps me company when I go round and round. And it is just round and round now, but I have run out of the mohair, so I'm waiting for more of that to arrive before I can knit more on it. I thought, yeah, so if I had have podcasted last week as planned, you would not have seen the next project because it was definitely on pause. After my last podcast, where the Knitting Gremlins were in, the Starflake Mystery Shawl along had to go into a little bit of a timeout just while I knit on everything else to clear my brain and be like, yeah. I was putting myself under unnecessary pressure to get that shawl done every week within the clues, and yeah, it wasn't necessary. It was yeah. We should never cry over anything. I know we do sometimes, but we shouldn't. But yeah, on, I think it was Sunday afternoon, I ran out of the mohair on my easy one, and so I wanted something to pick up. I wasn't feeling socks. I didn't want to cast on, well no, I thought about casting on something new because I want to make another litmus cowl by Amy of Standard Dye Works, and I have a set of Lay Family Yarns minis that is going to go into that, but that would have involved spending most of my afternoon balling up those minis, and I just wanted to knit. I wanted to sit and knit and watch whatever I was watching on the telly. I can't remember what I was watching. So I knew that the Starflake shawl had about 10 more rows, 10, 20 more rows of just pretty much increases and yarn overs and garter. And I was like, maybe it's time I got it out again. So that's what I did. And I finished section 2 on Sunday. I am desperately trying not to lose any stitches here because We've been there. This is a very messy thing to show. There are probably a million and one ends. But yeah, I'll start at the top so you can see it. This is probably quite a familiar design to any big knitters out there because it is literally all over Instagram at the moment. There are so many people taking part in this mystery shawl along. So the star in the centre and the bold stripes are the first clue, which went pretty easily. The next section, section 2, is the garter section, which went easily once I decided to do garter and gave up on brioche. That was drama. And yeah, so I have finished section 2 and I have started section clue 3. It's section 4 and 5 and 6, and in that you're doing these little sort of welts, wedges. It's very cute. These are quite simple to do. It's sort of short rows, but there's, yeah, it's very easy short rows. And also in clue 3 you have these long bits. It's not garter, but it's not far off. I don't know if you can actually see the difference between the garter here and this bit here. It is 1x1 colour stripes. Yeah. I'm glad I gave it a pause. I'm loving it a bit more. I actually nearly started the next section before I podcasted this morning, but I thought no, I'm going to get addicted and I really want to knit it. So yeah, this is just a case of let's knit now until it's done. So it'll be the main project I'm working on, and hopefully by next week, I shouldn't say that, hopefully within the next few weeks, both this and my Easy One sweater will be complete. But yeah, I am loving this yarn. I should really give this yarn a shout out because it's amazing and it is what is making me come back to this time and time again. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. It is, oh, I've forgotten the colour names, but I'll pop them in the down bar below. The yarn is by Dye Candy. I know the black is Reaper, but I can't remember the neon sparkle colourway. It's lovely. It's not sparkle, sorry. It doesn't have any sparkle in it. It's just beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Licorice All Sorts. Is anyone else getting that? And when I finished my floofy black jumper, I think it looked beautiful with it. Yeah, I'm feeling it again. It got a lot of stress, did this shawl, but I'm loving it again. I've seen so many beautiful finished ones as well. So pretty. Do not lose any stitches, Liz. Where are your needles? There. Yeah, so this is the crochet section, and I am going to disclaimer up front, I haven't done a lot of crochet this week. I have done my work, but I can never show that. Whoop. Hook. So yeah, this is the amount of actual non-work related crochet I have done this week. It's kind of cute. This is a stitch that I refer to as the cobble stitch. I don't know if that's its technical name. It is the same stitch that was in the crochet pattern that I released on the last episode. This is the hat I'm wearing the most at the moment. Yeah, so that is the same stitch, and my plan was to make a cowl in the same yarn, which I don't have, so I decided to make it in this, which is Third Art Imagination. It is 100% acrylic, made in Turkey, and it doesn't give a gauge, but I'd say it's probably about an hour in weight. And it's kind of cute in the fact that for a commercial yarn, it's sort of giving us the speckles we like in hand-dyed yarn, and I thought that was kind of cute. I have 2 balls of this. So this is going to be a cowl, if you can imagine it longer and rounder, and then I'm going to do a mock crochet rib top and bottom. So see this rib? Yeah, so it'll have that top and bottom, and then it will have like 3 buttons down the side, and that will be a pattern coming soon, or not, coming at some point. We do have a pattern release on this episode, or should I say re-release, and just as a warning, if you're not starting to feel those Christmassy vibes, all the patterns I will be releasing from now until middle of December on this podcast will be Christmassy themed. I do an awful lot of Christmassy patterns, so I feel like it's time, this time of year I've got to get as many out as possible. So yeah, actually I'll talk about that now because I'm talking about it rather than talking about the other thing. Yeah, so the crochet pattern I will be re-releasing, so it'll be going on Ravelry for the first time, and it will be re-released on Etsy on my new format, is my crocheted baubles pattern, and I have many to show you, many, because I thought this would be a good one, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who watch this who either knit and crochet, or just knit, and if you are just a knitter and don't crochet and don't fancy learning, learn to crochet. It's great fun. Says me, who does hardly any. What I do have also in my Etsy shop is I have sets of these to purchase ready-made. All of these. Yeah, so this is a crochet pattern. These won't go because they're different. Where you get three, I'm trying to find the third one. Hang on. Might have to cut this. Yeah, you get 3 different designs on fancy baubles. So these, let it do its spin. So this is the first design. It's kind of like a poinsettia design, big flower. These use cotton yarn. I think I used an Aran weight. I think I used the Rico Creative Cotton Aran. But to be honest, I've used all sorts on all of these, and pretty much works out. Even with the DK, you just sort of might have to squeeze it into the ball. This is more like a mandala pattern on this one. Lovely. And let me try and find the third one. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is like a traditional granny square-ish type bauble. So yeah, so on the pattern you get instructions on how to make all 3 different designs. They are incredibly easy to make. You make them in 2 halves and then form them around a polystyrene ball, or you can stuff them. Go your own way on that. I like using the polystyrene balls because then they're reusable and they keep the shape really nicely. They are not sewn together, they are crocheted together, so there is no sewing involved apart from some ends. And even the ends you can tuck inside because no one's ever going to see them. So you don't have to sew in your ends unless you absolutely want to. So yeah. This is the 3 different patterns that you get on the pattern. And the pattern will come with a 50% off code, which, let's go for Christmas balls. Christmas balls. And that pattern will be available on Etsy and on Ravelry. And it will be available for 2 weeks. 2 weeks from the 6th of November, you'll be able to get 50% off this pattern. And also, all of these ones that I've made, I did not make them this year, but they have been stored away from the cats. So they come in, you get a set of 3. Each set of 3 is the same design, but the colours have been changed, so you can, there's I think 4 colours on this one. And all I've done is I've started with a different colour and worked in the same loop. So yeah, they are just over 10-12 centimetres maybe diameter. So yeah, so each set of 3 is the same pattern, but each one is different and individual, and they are all made by me, and I have a lot of them in the shop. There are a lot that are Christmas colours, very traditional Christmas colours. Oh. These ones are done in DK wool, and they are just a little bit more poofy, but they're really pretty. Let me dive in for one more. Hopefully I can cut the bits of me diving. I really like this one. This actually, just even looking at these, gives me a bit of crochet mojo and makes me want to crochet some more. But it's pointless me crocheting some more when I have so many of them. So please buy some. I would like the pennies, and you would like the baubles. Definitely you would. There will also be an update going into the shop of stitch markers. I think that will probably be happening more next week, and if I do a podcast next week I will be talking about that more. But I have got some lovely new stitch markers going in. So I have a bag full of Christmassy ones, and I have a bag full of less Christmassy ones. Yeah, I mean, this is where it just ends in madness. Look how pretty! I mean, I know that's not Christmassy at all, but it's adorable. And there's one in here. Is it the one that just fell on the floor? It is the one that just fell on the floor. Excuse me. Whoops. It's so autumnal. I just want these in a bowl. But because they're in my shop, I can't play with them out. Put them out and have them as my decoration. But yeah, they're in my Etsy shop. My Etsy shop is Amigurumi Barmy, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's so varied now and not just my Amigurumi patterns. But you can't actually, I don't know if you can change your shop names on Etsy. It might be something I'll have to look at some point. Okay, final crochet thing, because I have a feeling this might be a bit of a long podcast, but hey ho. Yeah, so this is Love Crochet magazine. It comes out every 2 months, and it comes, this is the sort of Christmassy special because it's a November issue. I can't see a number for which one it is. Issue 80. Issue 80. And this little pretty Christmassy girl on the front, who is reflecting very badly, this is my design. Yeah, I was asked for a hollyberry fairy, and there she is. And I like it when my designs go on the cover of magazines, very much so. I don't think there's anything else from me in here. There she is again. Isn't she sweet? Oh, I like her. She's got like a little cape, and she's done in all sort of more antique-y Christmassy colours rather than the bright reds and greens. So yeah, so this should be at big newsagents if you want to get your hands on a copy. I get this from Tesco, a big Tesco. So yeah, if you want a copy, if you want a crochet magazine, it is quite high in price. I just noticed that when I was looking at it. It's actually £8.99, and I think that's because they've started putting these kits in with it. And this is actually my job too. I design these kits. So these kits make, I don't know if you can see them at the top, these little gonks, these little elf troll type things. I wonder if there's a better picture of those inside. Might be quite near the front. Excuse me while I flick. Oh yeah. Little troll type, elf type. They're calling them elves. I don't know why I call them gonks. Dash me. Yeah, so you get a kit to make those, and it includes stuffing, you've got pom-poms in there and everything. It's your basic acrylic. There's some fluffy stuff for the beards, but yeah, I think that's why the price of the magazine has gone up, because I don't remember it ever being more than about £5. So yeah, it's interesting. This is, like I say, probably the only magazine that I'm currently working for, mainly just because of the submission process of how patterns are submitted, and it doesn't particularly pay very well. So a lot of the crochet design work that I do goes behind the scenes, and my name is not put to it. So it is nice when I get a cover and my name is in there, and yeah, you can find me, and that's what I'm rattling, just in case. Also, they did not send me this copy. I bought this copy myself. I think they are meant to send me a copy. I might have a word. But I will probably be putting this into a giveaway. So not this week. By the by. Doodaloo. Right, so that is it for crochet. We do have some acquisitions. Hello, boo boo boo. More acquisitions than I care to share. Well, I'm going to share more. But I do feel like I've been a little bit naughty. Especially after Yandel wasn't so long ago. But people keep making lovely yarn and things, and I am still collecting Christmas yarns for my Christmas box of socks. But the first thing I'll show you is the yarn I got to make the cowl to go with this. I did actually buy some of what I thought was the same yarn, and I ordered 3 from Wool Warehouse, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? But it's not the same. It's a slightly different blue, and it's not the same yarn at all. Don't know if I might mind. This arrived before I started making the other one. That's kind of a prototype, so I might still make it out of this because I don't think anyone would be too fussed or even point out that it's the wrong colour. But so yeah, I have 3 balls of this. It is King Cole's Super Chunky Twist. I cannot remember exactly what this was knit out of, hence I got the wrong one. But so yeah, so that's another crochet pattern on its way. And right, what do I start with? It's not that much. It's not that much. There's a few treats in here, mainly because I kind of had to. This is Amy of Stranded, who you all know. I'm a massive fan of her podcast, and this is her Christmas colourway. I have never had any of her yarn, mainly because I like to pick up most yarn from shows. She doesn't do that many shows, and I do find the cost of yarn prohibitive. Cost of postage, sorry, prohibitive. The cost of yarn is it's a kind of treat yourself moment. So I decided, if I was going to buy yarn from her, I was either going to wait until I wanted a sweater quantity, or if I was definitely wanted the Christmas colourway, then I could maybe pick up another one. And I did, because she came up with this colourway. I'll just put that one out of the way, which is her orange tabby colourway, which is, yeah. Oh dear, Cassie, not a happy girl. Yeah, so this is the colour of my cats. And almost exactly, down to the green eyes. And I definitely needed a hat in this. I need to match my cats. And I also have a little idea for a crochet pattern if there is enough left, which I'm hoping there will be. There was this much left of the blue from the driftwood hat. So hopefully there will be enough left of this for my little crochet pattern, and maybe a little gift back to Amy. Maybe. What else? I picked up another Christmas yarn, because apparently there's no stopping me at the moment. And this is from a new to me dyer called Glendale Fibres that I spotted on Etsy. They were having a sale, and a lot of my Christmas yarns are going down the sort of traditional sort of gingerbread or red, white and green colourways, so I wanted something a little bit different, and so I picked up this one because it's blues and there's a bit of purple in there. I don't know if you can see that, and all these beautiful black speckles, and yeah, I'm really into this. I really like it. So nice. So yeah, and that came with a little stitch marker and details there. I will put all these in the description as well, so you can have a look at those. And yeah, this colourway, does it have a name? I think is it Winter Wonderland? Winter Wonderland. Yeah. Yeah. Very happy with that. Only two more. Just 2 more. I think there's one more downstairs that I haven't brought up. I should probably show that next week though. So the first one is very autumnal and very much a sort of see, buy now, have to have, definitely have to have. And it will come as no surprise that it's by the Yarn Badger, because I absolutely adore her. And this is her pumpkin patch self-striping colourway. I think it's a 10 striper, I might be wrong about that, there might be more. And it is just, oh my god, it's so pretty. I don't think I'll be clever enough to put a picture in of the actual socks that she has knit up in this to show how it's striped. But if I am, it will be around. Yeah. Oh, and it came with a lovely little badge, which I'm going to put on my wall of lovely things. And it came with some sweeties. And yeah, it was so tempting to cast these on straight away, but my sock mojo is a bit low at the mo, so it might just go into stash and be a treat for next autumn, which would be lovely. Just look at the colours. That's just all about that. And I'm so excited because yesterday, I'm on a bit of a yarn buying ban. This is working really well for me. Yesterday, Liz released some more of her Wham sock along, her Christmas sock along colourway, and I was able to snaffle one, and I was like, yes! Oh, so happy, because I thought I'd missed out. So that will be, hopefully I'll have that to show next week. And last acquisition, I think it's definitely the last one. Okay, because I feel like we've been here for a while. Is my Ducky Darlings subscription mystery monthly. Just started to hear builders outside. They haven't finished. I should turn the camera down and we could just all stare at them. Make them feel like they make us feel. Ugh. Anyway, back to whatnot. And so I get her monthly subscription box, which is quite new. This is only the second month, and it's based on the Ladybird sort of nursery rhyme books of our childhood. And the first one was Jack and the Beanstalk, which is balled up and here. Ooh. Beautiful, waiting to be socks. And the second one is Sleeping Beauty, and it is here. Rustling. It's beautiful. Now, if again I'm going to be clever and put a picture of the Ladybird book, you'll be able to see this beautiful yellow gown that she's on the front. And I'm fairly sure that's Hayley's inspiration here, because I mean, look at it. This is a little stitch marker that it comes with, which if I can show you, it's just a little gold bell and heart. It's so pretty. And this is called the Crown Jewels. Of course, it's a club exclusive, so it's not readily available. But it is this beautiful honey butter yellow with speckles of red and rust and green. And it's just, oh. I haven't actually looked at this since it arrived, which is over a week ago now, because I knew that I couldn't even play with it until I showed it on the podcast. So I just sort of tucked it away and tucked it in with my other acquisitions, and just when I got it out then I was like, oh, it's prettier than I remember. Isn't that so silly? But look at it! And I have found a sock recipe, that's not the right word, I don't bake socks. A sock pattern that is called Jack and the Beanstalk, which will be for this sock, if I'm brave enough. And I have also found a sock pattern called Sleeping Beauty, which will be for these. Because how lovely would it be just to have a full collection of Ducky's club subscription socks in patterns based on the nursery rhymes, in yarn based on the nursery rhymes, and it's all just a wonderful happy place. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I decided. I might not always be socks, but I am going to find patterns that have similar themes. And so this will be Sleeping Beauty socks. And I love it. And it also came with some sweeties. Yeah. Just happy. Give me sweeties, I'll be a happy girl. Can I just, let me just think. Look at them, aren't they lovely together? yarn fairies have been kind to me. Oh yeah. I think that's it. Cassie is calm on my knee. She's here. Ooh. I say that and then I pick her up and make her not calm. Say, Cassie? No, not a happy girl. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back and watching if you've watched before. If you like what you see, subscribe. It helps the channel. Yeah, I'll be back in 1 week or 2. I haven't decided. Depends how much knitting I get done. And I'll see you soon. Bye.